Hey guys, RTC back here for another video. Guys, today we're talking about iPadOS 16 and what has it changed? Can it truly make an iPad a laptop? Let's go ahead and talk about it. Starting off right away, yes, I have actually officially gotten rid of my MacBook Pro and have replaced it with an iPad Pro 12.9 inch. Now you might say right away, hold up, what? Do you know an iPad is not a laptop? Well, I'm here to tell you today that is simply not the case anymore. With iPadOS 16, and I am right now on the beta and I am using it, and I will tell you right now, I absolutely adore this beta. I adore the iOS 16 version. I also adore this iPadOS 16 too. The reason why is because of that little thing right there where my finger is pointing. Stage Manager. And you might not have heard too much about this because I know a lot of people have skipped past the iPad software updates and they really would focus on the MacBook Pros, the MacBook Airs, and don't get me wrong, I was too. An M2 chip, that's absolutely amazing. But that simply is not what caught my eye having an iPad. Stage Manager changes the ball game for iPads. It actually makes it more or less an actual laptop now, and it really is going to make a lot of people happy because of the mobility of iPads, the size of them, how much easy it is to move around with them, and now you don't even have to worry about having a MacBook Pro on you. The iPad changes the ball game. So Stage Manager is a new functionality, I would say, for iPads that lets you be able to have an external display connected to your iPad at any given time, and you can use it almost as if what you would do with an iMac or a MacBook Pro. You can drag applications, you can drag windows from the iPad to the external display and have a little mini desktop PC setup. Now, especially with different monitors, especially mobile monitors, I showed off one recently that I absolutely love. It's only like $200 and you can actually go ahead and take it anywhere, and it actually goes off of power from a power bank. You can use it actually connected to the iPad to get the power, and you always have it on you at all times. You put in your bag a little separate monitor plus your iPad and go wherever you want and pull it out and be able to have it as a mini desktop PC. The other thing Stage Manager actually gives you is the ability to resize windows, kind of like you can on a MacBook or an iMac. You could actually resize the windows, put them different places on the screen. It just gives us a mouse support that we never had on Mac, on any kind of iPad in the past. You could use a mouse and keyboard on iPads, but it was always kind of janky, wasn't 100% supported, and it wasn't really optimized for the iPads. We now have the ability to have something that's optimized for the iPads, and that's amazing. Next thing I want to talk about, of course, is going to go ahead and be the other awesome features we get with iPadOS 16. We get a dedicated weather app, a reference mode, live caption in FaceTimes, collaboration in iMessage, ability to unsend messages, mark messages unread, unsend mail. Of course, we have passkeys, share, play in messages, customizable toolbars, scribble in Thaya, share photo library, lift images from the background, free form, and finally Game Center. So with all these new features, why would you use an iPad over using a MacBook Pro? Especially MacBook Pro with the brand new the M2 chip or M1 Pro Max if you're trying to get that 16-inch model. Well, one key thing that iPads have always had over any other device is the ability to have a touchscreen. You can actually touch the iPad and use it as a touchscreen or with a keyboard and mouse included, and the external display, and the multitasking capabilities, and a true optimized M1 chip you can use on this device. You can't get that on the MacBook Pro. You can't pull out an Apple Pencil on a MacBook Pro, MacBook Air, and start scribbling on the screen. You can do that on the iPads. Next thing, price tags. So of course we saw that there was an iPad Air that came out for $599. You have the Mac, you have the iPad Air, you have the iPad Pro 11-inch at $799. You have, of course, the iPad Pro 12.9-inch at $1,099, which is all cheaper than a MacBook Pro or a MacBook Air. Depending on what model you can get a little bit closer than that, but you're not going to get the $799 11-inch model. Guys, I know for the longest time, and myself included, I've done the same thing. I've said the same thing. I've said it a million times on the channel where I've not picked up a MacBook, iPad, because of the fact of it was so capped, it was so throttled, and it just simply could not compete with a MacBook Pro or Air. After using the iPad OS software and after using the beta, it completely changed my mind and can change my perspective on iPads. And like I said before, I will be rocking an iPad every single day as my daily driver, going everywhere I go. It will now officially become my MacBook Pro replacement. And I'll tell you right now, I think a lot more people, especially when September rolls around and we see the iPad OS 16 come out, I think a lot more people will go ahead and start transitioning over to iPads. There's no real reason not to. And the reason why I say that is because, again, like I said, the price, the battery life, the ability to take it anywhere you want, it really just, the ability to actually have a touchscreen, keyboard and mouse, scribble with your pen, no limitations. It's really hard to justify not going ahead and transitioning over, especially because a lot of applications are now starting to become ready and available for iPads. I was really heavily surprised when I got my iPad Pro 12.9-inch that Adobe Photoshop, the full Photoshop, is fully optimized for iPads. Adobe After Effects, fully optimized. Lightroom, fully optimized. Adobe Premiere is still in the Rush edition, but it's still getting there, but it's still optimized for iPads. And as time goes on, especially with iPad OS 16, we're going to see more and more companies, more developers, more, apps come out that are truly optimized for these iPads. And now that we have the M1 chip actually having the functionality of having an external display and using and being able to truly, actually use the chip, more developers are going to be opted to say, hey, listen, we're going to make this optimized for iPads. So you can use a touchscreen and use it like keyboard and mouse. There's just no reason to go back to a MacBook Pro or Air when it comes to all the functionality iPad OS 16 gives you. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, listen, the M2 chip, that's why I'm sticking with the MacBook Pro and Air. And I understand that completely. But, one thing I will say is Apple did show us how fast the M2 chip was. They compared it to the M1. They didn't compare it to the M1 Pro, M1 Pro Max. And again, like I said before, this is a fully maxed out, fully optimized M1 chip experience now. 16%, I think it was 16% faster, the M2, than the M1. I don't know the exact number. I think it was 16 to 34% faster. The end of the day is the price tag shows price tag. Do you want to go out there and spend $2,000 on a MacBook Pro Air? Or do you rather just spend $799 on an iPad? Kind of up to you at the end of the day. Thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment down below. See you guys next one. Peace out.